William, good evening, and how are you? Happy New Year.
Very well, thank you. How's Uganda going? Hope everybody's good and well. And Happy New Year to all my friends in Uganda.
Okay, Happy New Year to you too. We wish you a very, very prosperous 2025. Okay, you're live on FUFA TV as well as 102.1 FUFA FM, requesting you to say hello to our dear listeners and viewers.
Well, hello to all the listeners and everybody in Uganda. Thank you for having me. Fantastic to be here and to share some thoughts with you guys this evening.
Okay, thank you for sparing time and joining us. But for when I did post that we're hosting you today, people really, some of the questions that have been coming through, they really want to know your motorsporting history.
My history, well, I started off marshalling many years ago. I actually got involved by chance. My father is the chief marshal in rally here in South Africa, and he's been doing having that role for quite some time. And I think it was way back in probably 2004. He was short of marshals on an event and asked me to come and help out, and yeah, that's basically how I started. I've never been a competitor. As I said, humble beginnings, started out marshalling for a couple of years, and then from there the South African Rally Commission offered me a permanent job. And like they say, the rest is history. I've been involved actively in the Rally Commission in South Africa since 2015. So going into my 10th year, being full-time in my full-time involvement in rally.
Okay. Then you've come several times to Uganda. How have you? What's your take on Uganda in terms of motorsport as a whole?
Sorry, this line's terrible. Just repeat the question again?
You've been here several times officiating our Pearl of Africa events. What's your general take on Uganda as a motorsporting country on the continent?
Guys, from a safety perspective, Uganda is my poster child, is my star child that I always brag about, because I'm so incredibly proud of the achievements on, especially in safety. We all know the chaos and the very unsafe practices that was happening in Uganda, especially on rallies, with the fans and the spectators just being all over the place. And I'm really proud to have worked with a great team, Noella, Omar, Cedric, Enoch, to name a few people, who have really taken the challenge to task and at heart, and really learned and really implemented the safety, because it is just 1,000% better than what it used to be. So I'm really incredibly proud of the entire country of Uganda, the officials, the organizers, but especially the fans, really paying attention to instructions and listening and working with the organizers. So guys, you are really you have my respect. Absolutely well done, and keep it up. So yeah, I'm incredibly proud of Uganda.
Okay. Now let's get into the safety elements. You being the FIA safety delegate on the African scene, representing the FIA. A question comes in here from one of our viewers asking, when you're driving through a stage during recce and route inspection, what are the most important things you're looking out for, and what is unacceptable according to you?
All right. Look, there's a whole lot of factors that one needs to look at. So let's break it up into a few parts. So first of all is a risk assessment. One has to look at the sporting challenge of each and every each and every stage. You have to look at the spectator aspect of it. What's the access? So let's go through a risk assessment, for instance. Has the organizer planned for the access of emergency vehicles should something have gone wrong on that stage and emergency vehicles need to deploy? So we look at obvious dangers on the route. Are there cliffs? Are there big holes? Are there big rocks? Are there trees very close to the stages? And from that assessment, we obviously then make notes and relay that to the organizer. We're talking about recce now. Relay that to the organizer so that they can put in preventative measures before the actual event starts or the stage starts, just to safeguard that. In terms of sporting challenge, we have to look at the quality of the road surfaces. Will it hold if you repeat it 2 or 3 times, for instance? What is the quality of the jumps? The spectator value, and most important thing is obviously the enjoyment for the drivers. The actual sporting challenge. What kind of a challenge are we giving these guys? Because if it's challenging enough, you're obviously going to have a very good show for your fans. And then getting to the spectator assessment, you obviously look at where the spectator zones are. The access onto can the spectators access the zone without crossing the actual rally stage? It's all those things that one has to take into consideration, because the only good rally, my friend, is a safe rally. So safety is paramount. If there's any risk whatsoever, that needs to be addressed. So that's some of the things that I check out, especially going on recce before the event starts.
Okay, then qualification of safety officials and available training opportunities from the FIA that can be brought to the African scene.
Okay, guys, like I say before, like with anything in life, you must crawl before you can stand tall and walk. So qualifications, first of all, you have to have a very keen interest in motorsport, especially rally. And my advice that I would give is that you have to implement self-empowerment. You have to go and attend events. You have to go and read up a bit. You have to go and educate yourself a little bit about safety aspects. Look, like I always say, safety is actually common sense. It is so easy to if you just take a moment to look at a situation where you are standing to spectate, for instance, if you take 2 seconds to think, if something should go wrong and that car does not make the turn or it cannot stop in time, am I safe where I am? So a lot of it is just observation. Just taking 1 minute for yourself to think, okay, am I safe here where I am? But in terms of getting involved and becoming a safety officer in rallies, guys, volunteer, get involved. Contact your ASNs or the Motorsport Federation. Offer your time, because that is the grassroots level of becoming, of reaching higher levels. Is really through self-education and being willing to volunteer your time, become involved, go through the ranks, start as a marshal, then go and assist with route marking, all of that. It basically starts off with being willing to volunteer your time to get involved, and that is how you move through the ranks. In terms of what the FIA offers, we have a great e-learning platform. It's all online and accessible to people interested in furthering their knowledge. And throughout the year there are, we do have workshops, we do have training sessions and stuff like that. I would suggest that the easiest way to go through those steps is to get in touch with your motorsport federation, especially your safety delegate for Uganda, who is Noella Blick at the moment, as far as I know. Start getting involved and start chatting, because that's the way that you obviously gain knowledge and work your way up through the ranks.
Okay, thanks very much for that. Then, in regards to the African Rally Championship, what ideas have been discussed at the FIA level to have it gain its full potential? Because looking at the draft calendar for this year, we only have 4 events. That is Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, and Kenya. Of course, Kenya hosting the WRC at the same time, running concurrently alongside the African Rally Championship, the Safari Rally running alongside the Equator. In the same event. What strides is FIA trying to do so that we can have a fully up and running African Rally Championship? Because South Africa used to host the York Rally, it no longer hosts. Zambia on the draft, it's not there. There's no Ivory Coast. Madagascar pulled away from the championship long time ago. On the draft calendar, there's no Tanzania. So what's there at the FIA so that we can have this championship fully revived?
Well, look, let's not forget about Tanzania also being on the 2025 calendar for this year. They've also procured or fixed up a date.
Okay.
So they'll also be part. Look, my friend, one should not just look at Africa or the Africa Rally Championship and say to yourself, things are looking bad. It's a worldwide tendency. And let me assure you that organizers, ASNs across Africa are all very committed to this championship. It's like anything in life. You go through tough times, you go through better times. We've Christian Gekwayo and myself, Christian from Rwanda, had a quick brief conversation today, and let me really assure our fans and our competitors out there that everybody is really invested. The thing is, it costs money to run the sport, to participate in the sport, and my personal opinion is that we should stop expecting. Everybody's looking at each other and saying, okay, so who's going to make the first move? Who's actually going to start doing something? Guys, we are all responsible collectively for making our sport happening. I mean, we're going into our 44th year of the Africa Rally Championship. I mean, that is an incredible milestone. We should never forget how popular rally is in Africa, especially Uganda. I don't need to tell any Ugandan, the great embedded love for the sport. So, guys, yes, economically it's challenging. Organizers are battling, competitors are battling, but it's an ongoing process that everybody should just take hands, and we should go out there and we should really. Every person involved in rally does have connections in the corporate world, for instance. Start talking, start exposing our championship and our sport to corporates. There's a lot of corporate countries or companies in Africa that have a footprint in all the ARC countries. There's wonderful opportunities here. And I really want to emphasize the fact that it's not. The championship belongs to the FIA, yes, 100%. But it is collectively everybody's responsibility to take hands and, to come up with plans to make sure that we take this championship forward for another 44 years.
Okay. And then another question in there, what are the changing technical trends that African drivers can adopt and
You're asking the wrong guy about technical stuff. I'm not really aware of any serious changes technically, but also in all fairness, and I don't want to sit here and give information. Technical, we've got wonderful, knowledgeable technical consultants and delegates. I mean, Musa Locho, Liren, they are the guys who can answer the questions on technicality. So yeah, I would rather not you know, there's nothing specific, major changes that I'm aware of. But again, I'm not the expert on the technical in the technical fields.
Okay, not much understood. Then what other formats of rally could be adopted to make rallies affordable for organizers and competitors?
Well, guys, I've always said we have to start working on grassroots level again. Now, grassroots level is your sprints, your gymkhanas, that sort of things. We should really go back to basics, and when I say we, I mean ASN's organizers, to attract youngsters, to expose the sport of rally to newcomers. And the best way to do that is to organize a few rally sprints. Here in South Africa, we have a couple of organizations or groups or clubs that that are doing wonderful work when it comes to grassroots level, where you set up a little stage in a parking area, for instance, all done very safely. And in conditions like that, you don't specifically need a rally car to do that, because you do the design and the layout of the actual stage in such a way that cars don't really pick up a lot of speed. Okay, so that's grassroots level. Obviously, Rally X, that's Rallycross is very. It's also a very fun part, and that can all be done on a relatively low budget. And with existing cars and existing teams. So there's really a lot that one can do to keep it interesting and to make it interesting. But the most important thing, like with anything in life, is we have to expose young people to the sport of rally, and grassroots is incredibly important.
Okay, then recently Africa, in Rwanda, we hosted the first ever FIA Congress, General Assemblies in Rwanda, and maybe you could tell us how significant was it on the African continent, of course, for the first time ever, Africa to host such a magnificent motorsport event.
Was that not a spectacle? That was absolutely incredible. It was absolutely incredible for Africa, for every facet of motorsport on the African continent, and I really want to congratulate my colleagues in Rwanda for putting up a fantastic General Assembly at the end of last year. We have really shone the bright African sun, or the bright sun on Africa, and I think the world looks at us differently, and the world know that we are there. We are an important role player in the world, and motorsport is there's a great love for motorsport on the African continent. So fantastic. I mean, I'm having, or I get goosebumps when I think about it. So guys, very well done to Rwanda, and thank you for really shining the light on Africa.
All right, then recently there were, in the course of, at the tail end of the General Assemblies, Rwanda, the President, Paul Kagame, made a declaration that Rwanda are bidding to host the F1 as well, just before the tail end of last year. Even South Africa as well made their desires to host the event well known, because South Africa last hosted the F1 in 1993. What's your take on that, and how best can African ASNs harness from such opportunities?
Look, think for yourself. What a fantastic opportunity. And like I say, I mean, if Africa is to get given a chance to host the Formula One, wow. I mean, we now have WRC on our shores, and there's no reason that Formula One should not return to Africa. So may the best team win there. And obviously, if you think to yourself, the massive exposure that African motorsport and ASNs in the different African countries can tap into, if you bring another world championship to Africa. I mean, it's the possibilities are endless. Think about it. But we, as ASNs and as organizers, we have to make our plans, and we have to be ready to tap into those opportunities. And the other thing is, we cannot sit on our backsides and wait for the opportunities. We have to stand up and say, right, how can we also share in the low-hanging fruits if we get given this opportunity for another world championship that to return to Africa. Guys, we're living in times where we have to be think out of the box. We can't live in the past and think, yesteryear we had so many increase, and it was fantastic. Things change. If you look at motor manufacturers, the manufacturing teams, most of them have pulled out. Even a lot of them has even pulled out on the international front. On the World Championships. So we always have to look and create our own opportunities. But the most important thing is we should not be asleep. We should not be caught asleep. We must sit down, we must work together, and we must come up with initiatives and plans on how we can tap into the opportunities that we get given.
Mm-hmm. Right, then my last question in there is with the WRC Safari Rally, Kenya Safari Rally becoming a main zone onto the WRC calendar, what can be done to increase, everything can be done so that we can have an increase in African participation on the global scene? Because we recently saw Makreki Mathi, then Hamza Anwar as well, competing on the global scene in the WRC, a few selected events. What can really be done to have an increase in the number of African drivers on the international, competing on the WRC level?
Yeah. Look, as I've said earlier when we started having our discussion, the most important factor here is finances. It's expensive. If you look at rally, any rally competitor team will tell you that it costs a lot of money. It's not a cheap sport. And that's why I want to get back to what I said earlier, is that first of all, competitors, organizers, ASNs, commissions, especially in the motorsport fraternity, we must all start taking hands, and we should all start promoting our sport. We all, like I said, we all have connections and contacts in the corporate world, and we should really start selling our sport to corporates, and we should really start marketing our sport better, because the only way you're going to attract or make sure that you build up the competitive base again is if competitors get sponsorships, to enable them to participate, to travel to the different countries in Africa to participate. So, guys, I really, really want to emphasize the fact that this sport belongs to everybody. Gone are the days where we can sit back and say, oh, but it's the Motorsport Federation in my country's job, or it's the FIA's job, or this one's job. No, we have to really take ownership and responsibility for our sport. And like I say, we must market it, and we must make people aware of this and the wonderful opportunities that an international event especially, in every African country, there's endless opportunities and such a big return on investment if we just start exposing, especially corporates, to our sport.
All right, William, thank you very much for spending time and joining us. We'll definitely talk to you in the near future. Any parting shots to the Ugandan motorsport fraternity out there?
Any message to them? Sorry, man, I couldn't hear that.
Yeah, any parting shots to the Ugandan motorsport fraternity listening in and as well watching?
Well, my friends, those who know me, I'll see you soon. I believe May. Well done. I believe the event has now moved to a new town. I'm looking forward to that. Exploring the western side of Uganda. That's going to be fantastic. People, keep safe. Like I say, on events, please listen to the marshals. Keep yourself safe and carry on with a fantastic job that you guys have done. I'm really, as I said earlier, Uganda, I'm very proud of you. And you know, a lot of people call Uganda the shouting Mzungu's second home. So I look forward to seeing all of you in May. Keep safe.
All right, thank you very much, and have a good night.
And you, thank you guys. Take care, and regards to everybody.
Okay, we have William Low from South Africa to a lot to digest. Aaron, our time is fast. The producer, and we have, I think, when you're having fun. But William, I get them into mention Uganda being very
so proud of Uganda. Improvement. Safety. Nengeri gye tukwatamu safety ennaku zino ekyuse. Kudos to Noela Dick, Aj Omar Mayanja, Cedric Buzabo and Enoch Olinga. Those are the spearhead b'ekintu kino. Of course, definitely amanya agali office. Then definitely ne Umusma, credit to them. Kubanga basobodde okuteekawo performances ngezo tusobola okubeerawo nga tukola mu PAL event kubanga eyo low jasinga okumanya definitely naye nendala aziraba kubanga he always are following a program rallies Uganda so much. Whatever happens in Uganda usually comments about them, so aba following so tetutula Uganda nagamba okuba abeerawo ku PAL wokka gye tuba tutunuulira ennyo even other events now that already akimanyi nti PAL yakyusiza venue egenda to a new place olaba nti is following fully what is going on in Uganda. So epyawe tugenda tugezeeko kulaba nga tukwasaganya bulungi kirungi tugenda kubanga precursor to the main event of PAL come next year this year. So tugezeeko kulaba nga tutereeza buli kizibu kyonna kitunatusanze mu event eyo tuza kitwasabanga edda before we do a PAL we do a precursor an event similar to what we are going to do for PAL, and it will help okumanya bad spots, okumanya challenges zemufunye mu event that will make them good before the big event.
Okay, time is up. More nyo kubanga mtwega seko ku radio ne ku TV. We'll definitely get back next week with all the latest in all of motorsport. Sure, should have found that come on interest here. Event which is upon us.
Yep, definitely.
Man at 60, Mama at 90. Man at 60.
Mama at 90.
Mama at 90. Eventually launching it and last week, but get back next week. Never in the world of motorsport.